But with that being said, yesterday's win, there's now at least a blueprint to how the Bengals can get into the postseason. And we'll pop this up on the screen now for those watching on Chatterbox Sports on YouTube. We appreciate you guys. For radio, just follow along. But let's pop up that graphic. Here is the scenario for how the Cincinnati Bengals can make the postseason. Obviously, they would have to finish the season 3-0, win against the Browns, obviously beat Denver and the Steelers in the final week of the regular season. They need the Colts and the Dolphins to lose at least one more game. Plus, they need Denver or the Chargers to go 0-3 the rest of the way. That's a lot. And that's not like, oh, man, that's a very high probability chance that the Bengals make the postseason. But when you talk about the Bengals' chances and what needs to happen for them to make the postseason, guys, I don't know about you, but I need to physically see some concrete evidence that they could do that. This is it right here. That's the path to the postseason. When you see that, your initial takeaway is what? Is that doable? Is that realistic? I mean, where are we at right now when it comes to when you see that? How good do you feel about the Bengals' chances?
Look, you're asking a team that's 6-8 to win 5 games in a row and their season to get into the playoffs. We can look at schedules around the league and talk about the likelihood that the Colts lose 1 more or the Broncos lose 3 more or whatever else the Bengals need and go in the playoff machine and everything. Too many people are just brushing off to the side the fact that we have to win out to have a chance. Like, there's no wiggle room here that you can lose a game in this stretch. You have to win out, and there's no chance to get in if you don't. So I think that's certainly the hardest part of this whole formula. But, yeah, it's unlikely. The odds tell you as much. But as long as there's a number next to our name, I'm going to still believe at least a little bit.
I'm actually going to be the most positive I've been today. I think that's significantly more doable than anything else. The Broncos going 0-3, they play the Chargers, they play us, and then the Kansas City Chiefs, who without Patrick Mahomes will be playing in that game. The Chiefs are not good enough to withstand a Patrick Mahomes loss. That's 100% evident as of yesterday. And by the way, that team is just unable to pull away. I know they win every week, and it's crazy to say they're not good. They win every week. It was 21-7 the entire game yesterday, and they didn't add on ever. Without Patrick Mahomes, I have a hard time believing Carson Wentz is able to win a football game. We'll see. Anyway, I do think the Bengals win against bad teams. So you beat the Cleveland Browns, respectfully. You beat the Cleveland Browns, who might start maybe DTR. Maybe if they start DTR.
That's what it seems like.
If they start DTR, they're openly tanking, and I'll take my victory. Jameis, I'm a little bit more worried about. But nonetheless, Bengals win that game. If you take care of just that, and the Chargers win on Thursday night, then you control your own destiny pretty much from there. That means week 18 is going to matter no matter what if you do that. So, yeah, I think it's absolutely possible that the Bengals make the postseason.
Well, you would still need the Colts to lose a game.
You'd still need the Colts to lose a game,
Which
but
is
I'm not
damn near impossible.
I think the Titans are going to win a game. I think the Titans, yesterday they looked like garbage, but I do think they're able to win a game. They play. Who's the other team they play?
Titans, Giants, Jaguars. 3 teams.
I think the Jaguars will win a game too. Jaguars
are tanking.
Jaguars will win a game. I'll bet my life the Jaguars win a game down the stretch. I would. I think Mac Jones doesn't look good, but I'll tell you what. Sometimes these teams play spoiler.
If it wasn't week 18, maybe I'd agree.
It was the Jaguars that played spoiler on the Colts. 4 years ago?
The Jaguars weren't battling for a top 5 pick at that point.
We'll see. We'll see. I just think I think to give the Colts, who don't look good, Anthony Richardson looks terrible. So despite all of that, I think there's a sizable chance the Colts lose another game. I think the Bengals can make the postseason, and nobody wants to play the Cincinnati Bengals. If the Buffalo Bills played the Bengals in the first round, would that be the highest over/under in the history of NFL?
My goodness,
in the league,
especially
it would probably be pretty high.
Over/under 60.
That'd be one of the easiest bets of my entire life on the Bills.
Hey, Jacob, I have a question.
What would that number be? 9.5? I'd hammer the Bills.
Yeah, it would be a lot.
Yeah.
Real quick I want to get your take on this in a second, Jake, but I do have a question because I brought up the Colts earlier. I thought the Colts winning yesterday was bad for the Cincinnati Bengals. Broncos, that's the team that at the time sitting in that 7th spot, we thought that's the team that Cincinnati was chasing. That win moves them into the 6th spot, of course. But I thought the Colts winning yesterday was I thought the Colts losing yesterday was a bad thing for the Bengals. You said it wasn't. What am I missing with that?
Yeah, I was pretty hard rooting for the Broncos. I think the Broncos winning that game was pretty monumental for the Bengals' playoff chances, just because of what we just talked about with the Colts' remaining schedule. If the Colts would have beaten the Broncos, they would have had to lose 2 of 3 to the Titans, Giants, and Jaguars. I think that's a lot harder to think about in my brain than the Broncos losing all 3 of the Chargers, Bengals, and Chiefs. So the Chargers beating the Colts yesterday, I know they have to lose out. I know that's kind of a big ask, especially a team that's lost 4 in a row. But going to LA and playing the Chargers, a team that didn't play very well this week, and hopefully coming out against a rookie quarterback, Harbaugh's defense, Jesse Minter, all those guys going to be able to pick up an easy win on prime time against the Broncos this week. Bengals take care of business, which we know they have to do in order to get in. And then you're looking at a Bengals beat the Steelers, Chiefs beat the Broncos in Week 18 to get in. I just think the Colts winning losing 2 out of 3 to 3 teams that are openly tanking would have put us in a pretty bad spot. So I was rooting for the Broncos yesterday. I was pretty relieved when they won that one.
The Colts,
No, and again,
the Colts. I again, Jacob's more in on the Colts than I am. That team's not a good team. I mean, we can spin it however you want. Anthony Richardson looks terrible. He looks terrible. He makes one good pass a game for 55 yards, and outside of that, he does nothing else. He doesn't complete any of his passes, and every once in a while, he's forced to scramble. And then you don't know if he's going to take himself out of the game or not. So I'm out on the Colts. If they want to make the playoffs, they go ahead and they can try. But I have a hard time believing they're going to go 3-0 in their final 3 games, despite how easy that schedule is. No chance. I put it at a 0.0% chance.
So you do agree, though, that the Broncos winning that game was big?
I think it was big, but I was looking at the wild card thing too, the wild card standings during the middle of the game, and I was just trying to figure it out. I think that there's a more likely chance that the Broncos lose out than the Colts lose out.
Right.
That's the
rationale.
So if that's the rationale, then it absolutely helps. Yeah. By the way, it's crazy. It's real quick. It is absolutely crazy. Mark was kind of saying it in the chat. As bad as the defense has been this year for the Cincinnati Bengals, and they've been truly bad, terrible. As bad as the defense could possibly be, the Bengals have been that bad. Out of all of it, it's Evan McPherson who's cost this team the playoffs. Isn't that wild? Evan McPherson is the reason the Bengals aren't in the playoffs. And you can look at the defense and say they're the worst, and they are, 100%. Evan McPherson not doing his job against the Chargers, not doing his job against the Ravens, he cost the team. He is the reason the Cincinnati Bengals aren't going to the playoffs. Out of all the guys to be responsible for it, I am a little bit shocked it's Evan McPherson. I think I give Evan McPherson and the defense equal amount of blame, if not more so, for Evan McPherson. If he stands up one time in that Chargers game, the Chargers and the Bengals are both 7-7. Bengals have the tiebreaker over the Chargers, and they're in the playoffs right now. All he has to do is make one of them. Crazy. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, the year of the kicker continues. Harrison Butker, not good yesterday. Justin Tucker has not been elite this season. Obviously, the Evan McPherson drop-off has been something studied. Yeah, I mean, the Browns kicker, who was lights out last year, they gave him an extension just like we saw the Bengals with McPherson, and then that blew up in the Browns' face as well. So it's been the year of the kicker. Now, it's not like there's not kickers out there who have been good this year, but it is interesting to see that the kickers who have been consistently good in recent seasons have just all consistently fallen off this year, and then new kickers have stepped up who haven't been very good in the past and have been lights out. It's a very strange year when it comes to that position. We always overlook special teams. We always mock kickers. We overlook that side of the ball, but my goodness, that has been a major talking point this year. A lot of teams who have really good rosters have been impacted greatly by that when it's all said and done. Something else to consider, too, with the Chargers now sitting in that 7th spot and holding that win over the Cincinnati Bengals at this point, another concern there, right? With the Chargers being there, the Bengals fighting the Chargers for that final spot.
I mean,
from a tiebreaking perspective,
the Chargers, they would have to lose out, and then the Bengals would win out, and they'd be in?
They'd jump the Chargers.
Yeah. I don't see that scenario likely, but
I think the Chargers are really, really good. I think they're going to beat the Broncos this week, which knocks them out of this whole situation. So that's why I'm kind of locked in on the Broncos losing out, just because I think the Chargers are going to win this week. But the winner or the loser of that game just has to lose their next 2. That's where the Bengals are at. Well, either way, though.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
No, you're right.
The loser of that game has to lose their next 2 games for the Bengals to get in.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Right.
That's crazy. We'll see. There's a chance. It's a non-zero chance. It's a non-zero chance that this all happens. I wouldn't bet against it. I'll tell you that.